Have you ever wondered what it actually felt like to survive a winter with no walls, no fire that never went out, and no promise that morning would come warm? For most of human history, winter wasn't a season, it was a test, and not everyone passed it. Long before heated homes and stocked pantries, early humans faced a cold that could kill in hours, not days. Hypothermia doesn't announce itself. It creeps in quietly, slowing the mind before the body even realizes it's dying, which meant the first danger of winter wasn't the cold itself. It was not noticing the cold in time. So, how did they survive what modern humans could barely endure for a single night? The answer starts with something surprisingly dark: sacrifice. In the harshest climates, some ancient groups made brutal calculations. Food stores were limited, and every extra mouth meant less for those most likely to survive until spring. Anthropological evidence suggests that in extreme famine winters, the very old and the very weak were sometimes left behind, not out of cruelty, but out of a grim mathematics of survival. It wasn't heartlessness, it was a group deciding who had the best chance of carrying the tribe into another year. But it wasn't only about who ate, it was about who stayed warm. Shelter was everything, and ancient humans built with whatever the land offered. In colder regions, some groups constructed dwellings from mammoth bones, stacking massive rib cages and skulls into dome-like frames, then covering them with hides and packed earth. It sounds almost unbelievable, but archaeologists have uncovered these bone structures in parts of Eastern Europe, dating back tens of thousands of years. When trees were scarce, bones became lumber. Inside these shelters, warmth wasn't a comfort, it was survival currency, and that currency came from fire. Keeping a fire alive through an entire winter wasn't as simple as lighting one. Fires had to be fed constantly, watched through the night, protected from wind and snow. Some groups took turns standing watch in shifts, because letting the fire die could mean everyone died with it. In certain regions, evidence suggests communities carried smoldering embers wrapped in bark or moss when moving between camps, and keeping a single flame alive for generations. Losing that fire wasn't just inconvenient, it could erase a group's only defense against the cold. And when fire and shelter weren't enough, ancient humans turned to something stranger: their own bodies. In extreme cold, humans sometimes huddled together in tight groups, not just for warmth, but to slow their own metabolisms, breathing and moving less to conserve energy. Some researchers believe certain ancient populations may have entered states resembling extended, deep sleep during the harshest weeks of winter, similar in principle to hibernation, though never truly identical to it. Bone growth patterns found in Spanish cave sites dating back over 400,000 years hint at seasonal pauses in physical development, a possible sign that the body itself slowed down to survive. Sleep in this sense wasn't rest, it was rationing. Food posed its own brutal puzzle. With no crops and no refrigeration, ancient humans had to store what little they had without it rotting or freezing solid. Meat was often buried beneath permafrost, turning the frozen ground itself into a natural freezer. Fat, especially animal fat, became more valuable than meat itself because fat meant slow burning energy that could keep a body alive through weeks without fresh food. In some Arctic adapted groups, this reliance on fat over protein wasn't a preference. It was survival chemistry, since too much lean protein without enough fat could actually cause the body to weaken and shut down, a condition sometimes called rabbit starvation. Clothing, too, became a matter of life and death. Early humans didn't just wear furs, they engineered them, layering hides with fur turned inward for insulation, then sealing seams with sinew to block wind. Some archaeological finds suggest specialized winter garments, including footwear designed to trap warm air, essentially early insulated boots crafted from animal hide tens of thousands of years before modern winter gear existed. But perhaps the darkest survival method of all wasn't physical, it was psychological. Isolation during long winters could be its own kind of danger, and evidence from later hunter gatherer societies suggests that storytelling, ritual, and shared myths weren't just entertainment, they were tools to keep minds occupied and morale intact during months of darkness and confinement. A group that stayed mentally connected was a group less likely to fracture under pressure, and fracturing in winter could be as deadly as starvation itself. What's strange is that so many of these survival methods weren't really about defeating winter, they were about becoming smaller, quieter, more efficient versions of themselves, conserving every possible resource until the world thawed again. And maybe that's the most unsettling part. Winter didn't just test the body, it tested how far a group was willing to go, physically and morally, to make sure someone survived to see spring. Because in the end, ancient winters weren't simply endured, they were negotiated with, sacrifice by sacrifice, ember by ember, until the ice finally let go.